One afternoon in the summertime, locked in traffic for quite some time with their older sister, our twins, put their mom on needles and pins. With their mother so close and so near, they asked,
what's happening?
How do babies get here?
Pin,
A sip.
is that you again, Pin? Going off about the birds and the bees?
Hey, it's me, Pin. I wandered in here and I wanted to teach you about where babies come from.
Pin, that's enough.
Do you have to do it without your pants on
Would
again?
you like to see my femur?
Put your napkin back on.
I'm so tired of this.
Are you curious about digestion?
I mean, yes.
I met an awfully nice nurse a little while ago.
I thought you looked a little sweaty.
All right, we watched Pin.
Stabby Stabby.
Hi, welcome to Stabby Stabby. I'm one of your hosts, Eric. This is your first time or you're revisiting. Thank you. Thank you for coming back if you're revisiting. We're a podcast that listens to exploitation or watches exploitation, horror movies, cartoons, weirdo films, and then we get back together and we dissect it scene by scene and talk about it and try to have a little fun with it. And then we stab it to death at the end by reviewing it. Thanks for joining us. Today I'm drinking a Green Flash IPA. It's a crowler, which means it was poured from the tap, and it's 32 fluid ounces.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to have to pee multiple times throughout this podcast. Dan, what's going on with you?
Hey, I'm your other host, Dan, and I'm right there with you. I'm drinking a 20-ounce can of Victory's Golden Monkey, so I will also have to pee in my pants, although the viewers don't know that we're not allowed to leave this microphone while we're recording, so both Eric and I are going to wet our pants, which is fine. I think Pin would appreciate that. Did I hear Greg earlier?
Yeah, hi, I'm Greg. I'm your third host, and I don't wear any pants while recording, so I can't pee them. I am drinking a Pizza Boy and Warwick Farm collaboration, Ilsner, which is a pretty crisp Pilsner. Only 4.5%, so I did pregame with my go-to of Bleed Green. So
had to make an appearance.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, you know.
Did you call it an Ilsner? Like
it's an Ilsner, yeah.
Nice.
Got like a dude doing like either a dance move or a skateboard trick. It's hard to tell. It's just a little like sketch drawing. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. He's getting ill.
Man, he's getting ill.
Nice. Speaking of ill, this movie was kind of unsettling, and I really enjoyed it. Who brought this to the table? Eric, was this your call? Did you pick Pin?
Yes, I did. I picked 1988's Pin. Man, I don't know where I originally heard of this. It's been in my back of my brain for so long. It's probably from like the VHS days. I've been meaning to watch it forever. And it would come up in conversation with other folks that had seen it. I had seen scenes from it. It's just been like sitting in my backlog. And I think I mentioned that I wanted to watch it. And maybe Greg, you were like, yeah, we should do it. I think you had given it an endorsement, and it finally got around to our rotation. And it's a doozy. I'm glad we did it.
Nice. I'm ready to dive in. What do you guys say? You want to get psychosexual with this movie plot?
Yeah.
Oh, give it to me.
Let's watch this movie together.
Peeing. I'm peeing already.
Actually, it looks like it's this director's only feature film.
Oh, that's a shame.
The rest are like TV movies, which actually makes sense because this kind of feels like a TV movie.
Yeah, it does.
We're going to get into it.
I guess we'll get into it. Hold on, let me just go back. My mouse is being real fucky.
You fucky mouse.
All right.
Now let's get to the plot.
So, 1988's Pin, directed by Sandor Stern, opens up on credits and the title, and then we move to a group of little kids staring at a window in an old house. someone or something is in the window. The one kid is dared to go talk to it, so he does, and someone from the window or the room yells at him, and the kid runs away. And then we cut 15 years earlier.
Yeah!
And we see the same house.
I love when movies do 15 years earlier. I know some people say you should start your movie at the beginning, but man, I love flashbacks. I loved it.
I say start it at the end. Give me all the credits at the beginning. Actually, I don't say that because I hate credits.
Hey, you know what? Can I say up front? This movie has a good stable of kid actors.
Yes.
They all gave solid performances. I don't remember there being a single cringy child performer in this movie, and there's a lot of them. So whatever store they bought these kids from, we should all, I don't know, support that store. Go buy yourself a kid to celebrate.
I think it was Kids R Us.
Oh, is that what they sell there?
Yeah, they sell kids.
Man, why didn't I guess that? I've never been in a Kids R Us.
It was a gimme, yeah.
She went out of business, but there's a black market.
Well, you run out of kids eventually. They grow up. You could buy them in the 80s. They had them in spades back then.
That was before people cared about children. Yeah.
It was a surplus. So from there, we meet two little kids, Leon and Ursula. By the way, Ursula is a great name for a little blonde girl. I don't know why. It just fit her really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Their father, Dr. Linden, and their clean freak mother. We don't really get names for Dr. Linden and the mother, so just go with it.
They're Dr. Linden and Mrs. Linden on IMDb. So yeah.
So dad and mom, I might refer to them as, but don't worry, we'll move past that halfway through.
Wait, why do you say that? Wait, what happens to the parents?
We'll get there.
Oh,
they
okay.
just sleep for a while.
This movie was made by Disney. You can tell. There's a surefire moment coming up.
So the father, he's much harder on Leon than he is on Ursula. And Leon is he 3 or 4 years older, or 2 years older, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move to the next day with the kids in Dr. Linden's office. Dr. Linden has a medical dummy that quote unquote talks via ventriloquism from the doctor. Leon and Ursula, however, believe that it talks for real.
How long did it take you guys to figure out that it was ventriloquism?
Too long.
Same, really? Dude, same.
I mean, I think I wanted it to be supernatural so bad that I was like, oh, is this going to be based in reality? Yeah, it took me a little too long. And then they showed his mouth, and he's but yeah.
Well, they saved his little mouth movement reveal until a good 20 minutes into the movie or 10 minutes into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I had this whole arc of at first I was like, why would you invent a robotic talking medical doll? That doesn't make any sense. And then it was a completely different scene that I had the realization, oh, he probably used his mouth. That's so much simpler.
Yeah.
Can we should describe what the doll looks like for folks?
Oh boy, how are we gonna sum that up?
He looks like Slim Goodbody without the afro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very smooth.
And his eyes look real. They look like real eyes. So you can see all the muscles and everything. And apparently it's anatomically correct because there's a white napkin over its crotch the whole time.
I would describe it as Slim Goodbody is the right vibe because it's like a human figure, but you see their insides, but it's totally lifelike. So it's almost like they killed a man, skinned him, and then really quickly slipped a human suit condom all around him. Because he's got these translucent layers of plastic between him and you and his guts and stuff. So he's got this weird kind of glowy aura about him whenever the light hits him. He's creepy. Yeah. It's a creepy object.
Yeah. It's like they laminated a skinned corpse.
Yeah.
But kept the dick.
Yeah.
It kind of looks a little bit like Frank from Hellraiser. And there was a toy in the 70s that was an anatomically correct, like a doll that was plastic that you could see all the crap through it too.
Did it also have a ding dong?
Yeah, can you go on?
I don't think
that?
it
Tell us more about this.
No, I don't think it was. No,
how big was it?
I think it was ding dongless. I'll have to find out the name. It wasn't anatomically correct, but it was a It was a plastic toy that you could see through.
Well, it was creepy. It was the kind of creepy where, like, if I walked into a room and that was sitting in the corner, I would put like a blanket over it. And I'm not superstitious or anything, but I don't want it looking at me. I don't believe it's real, but it could steal my soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Dr. Linden has strict rules regarding interaction with Pin. The kids aren't supposed to talk to Pin when the doctor's not there, and Pin isn't allowed to wear clothes because it would cover up the point of Pin. Like he's a medical, like he's like an educational mannequin.
If you just ask Father for some clothes, he'd give some to you.
If I wore clothes, then no one could see inside me, and I wouldn't be any good for teaching anymore.
Well, couldn't you take them off when you had to?
I couldn't do it myself, and it would be too much extra work for the doctor.
Well, I could come by and do it for you.
You have to go to school. Anyway, we shouldn't be having this conversation. You know, the doctor doesn't like me talking to anyone when he's not here.
Yeah, I think it becomes clear through the movie that the doctor is uncomfortable having conversations with his children. So rather than talk to them directly, he communicates with them, like, to have difficult conversations through Pin. He'll sit them down and talk to them through Pin. And yeah, I guess in that way, him being translucent and clothless is actually kind of thematically on point as well. It's like the only way the doctor is intimate with his kids is by talking through this gutsy mannequin. There's a lot of layers. Something that I liked about this movie is there's a lot to read into, and it seems intentional. Like this is a movie with some capital T themes on its mind, and I loved it. It swept me away right from the start. I really enjoyed reading this movie.
It seemed like the parents were all like very cold. Like the dad was very analytical and like couldn't talk to his kids, so he talked to the doll. But the mom also was like a uber neat freak. There's like plastic all over on the chairs and the furniture. When they show the kids getting ready for bed, they're eating like cookies and milk, and they have napkins on their chest. And then as soon as they step down, she's vacuuming the crumbs underneath. And that shit comes in later, like her being a total neat freak and then like controlling.
Yeah, and that's actually the next scene. We have a scene with Leon and his mother, and she's I like that she's like, you can't have your friend over anymore because like he's just dirty and he just like gets everything dirty. And he says something like, well, why don't you sterilize him before he comes in the house? And she slaps him for talking back. And then Leon kind of leaves the house and goes to the doctor's office to see Pin.
That new friend of yours, the Allison boy. He looks dirty and diseased. I don't want you bringing him in this house again.
Why don't you just sterilize him at the door?
You made me do that, Leon.
Well, something I love about the mom character is like you would describe an abusive mother like this as being cold and sterile, and they literally made those her character traits. Mm-hmm. She's both cold to the children and she literally sterilizes everything. It's awesome. And the dad's very like analytical and academic and is kind of distant in that way. So they kind of wrapped up, like if you've got like hyper religious parents that are very conservative, then the mom is probably, you'll be able to relate to the mom. If you had like a college professor that didn't give a shit about their kids for a dad, then you'll totally connect to the dad character and his relationship with the kids. Either way, these kids are going to grow up with some needs.
No, and there is needs.
Yeah.
We get a discussion about needs.
Yeah, that's right, we do.
Yeah, the need.
But speaking of the need...
Have you guys gotten a need lately? No, we can get to it later. We'll cover what it is first.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we should answer it now. I mean, yes, Eric, yes.
Yeah.
It's perfectly natural and you shouldn't be embarrassed. All right, we're here to support you, and if you want us to talk to you while you're solving your needs, we're happy to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
if you're having trouble finding the need, I can help you out.
See? All right, we're going to get there later, but yeah.
What if the need goes away entirely?
What if you get so old the need just goes away?
All right.
All right, well, moving on. So Pin and Ursula are Leon's only friends, basically. He's talking to Pin, and then he hears somebody in the office, and he leaves the room as the nurse comes in. And Leon proceeds to watch as the nurse bangs Pin, because he is anatomically correct, and he's got a stiff hand. So, and Leon does not enjoy seeing a woman banging Pin.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
No, please, after you.
Yeah, when she goes in the room, she's like, "This is going down. Like this is happening." Like she locks the door. She approaches him, and like he's articulated so he can move. So she like moves his face up to be like looking at her face, and then she like strokes his face and then removes his cloth, like off camera. You can't see it's down there, but then essentially like lays down on the bed and uses him as a giant dildo, and all of his weight is on top of her, and she's just moaning, and the music's like climaxing, and they're cutting to this kid, and he's totally grossed out. This poor kid, his face, he's just like, oh God, I feel so bad for this kid. But when she walked in the room, she was like, this wasn't the first time. Like her and Pin were getting down.
It was like side eye, like stack some papers, side eye, look, move this chair, side eye, put an ear to the door, see if anybody's around, side eye. Yeah, she was eyeing that thing up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows what she wants. Yeah. She is a strong, independent woman, and if she wants to bang a mannequin, no one's going to stop her.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different kind of medical, but yeah, it's equipment, all right. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it screwed that kid up a little bit. I think Leon might be having problems after that.
Well, my read on it was like if his frame of reference to important conversations with his father is through this object that now he's watching, it's his introduction to like sex, right?
Yep.
Is like through watching his dad bang. Yeah, that'll mess a kid up. So mess it up it did.
Is that not supposed to be your introduction to sex, by watching your dad bang?
Greg, tell me your sadness.
I think I did it wrong. All right, well, moving on. So now it's Ursula's birthday.
I told you he was going to get psychosexual. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. This is why I drink.
None of us are going to feel the need for a long time.
Now it's Ursula's birthday. Leon is excited because she got a gift from Pin, and that gift was a music box. At night, he's pretty fascinated by it, playing with it. He's like I said, he's just excited that Pin gave them something. While he's doing that, Ursula is just looking at a porno magazine.
But did she ever say where she got that from?
She did. I think she got it from a friend's house, I think she said.
Was it Marcia? Marcia seems like a bad influence.
It might have been Marcia. She comes in later, yeah.
Oh my God, that is Marcia later.
That would make sense if it connects. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Marcia later. Yeah.
Huh.
What I liked about this scene was the Leon had no interest in the porn mag whatsoever. He was just like enraptured by this dancing ballerina toy. And did you see the way he was holding it? The ballerina was like on his crotch.
Yeah, it was like a hard on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So while his sister's looking at porn and talking about like, am I going to have boobs like this? He's just sitting there pretending like this ballerina toy is his dick. It's awesome.
Yeah, I picked up on that too. Yeah, it's interesting that it wasn't the boy looking at the nudie mag, which is, usually the typical thing.
Right. Yeah.
And her dialogue's great in that. Sure, that character actor, that girl is great. She's like, do you think I'll ever look like this? and then she's like talking about big breasts, and he's like, those aren't breasts, that's just fat. She's a pig. It's like, dude, that's so rude, man.
Marsha's already growing breasts.
Those aren't breasts, that's fat. Marsha's a pig.
She happens to be my friend.
Your friend's a pig.
Oh, he's not into ladies, he's into, I guess, pin banging nurses. He's got a thing,
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, and at this point, Leon mentions that he wants Pin to live at the house, and Ursula basically is like arguing back that Dad says Pin can't come in the house, and it doesn't matter. He's just a dummy anyway. And Leon smacks Ursula when she says that Pin is just a dummy. Because Leon just can't believe it.
It's like the same shot as when the mom slapped him earlier. So he's getting the weird relationship signals from his dad via this doll Pin, and he's getting the violence and temper from his mom. So right away, these are nasty ingredients for a little kid cocktail. That's not going to go well.
And at the commotion of their kind of arguing and slapping, their mom comes in and catches Ursula with the porno magazine. So the next day, the doctor gives the sex conversation to the kids via Pin.
In the doctor's office.
Yeah. He tells them that normal people have a need for sex. And then later, Ursula tells Leon that she thinks she's really going to like sex when she's older, and she can't wait to have the need. But Leon has no interest.
I got the need to pee. Yeah,
oh, do you need to go pee?
I need to pee already.
Pee semen.
No, I like that exchange when he was like, "Have you heard all that before?" And she was like, "Oh, Marcia told me all that stuff, but not about the need." I like that. That's it's some little fun little back and forth. Actually, kind of believable, childlike conversations around topics like this. I thought. I've not been around children talking like this, but this seems believable.
It is. I think it's believable, especially because these two kids are incredibly sheltered.
Yeah.
And also pushed educationally. So their dialogue seems a little bit mature because they're being forced to mature that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the fact that you can read it in that way, usually movies that we would watch, they could have dialogue like this in the mouths of children, and it would read as a joke or ironic, or it would be clunky or whatever. But this is played so straight, and the child performers are so strong that it feels transgressive somehow. It elevated the material. It was really interesting to me.
Yeah, Ursula threw a little joke in there too. She was like,
Do you think Mother and Father ever have the need?
They must. We're here, aren't we?
So hard to picture. I'll bet you before they do it, Mother washes his penis with spick and span.
It was and Leon's just bust up laughing, they're totally burning on their parents and her mom being a neat freak. I like that little joke that was thrown in there.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
But now we move 4 years in the future. Leon is 17 and Ursula is 15. At a school dance, Leon, who's now a weirdo preppy nerd, he finds Ursula, who has kind of grown into being a wild child. He finds her banging in the back of a car, and he pulls her out and is not happy. Shortly after, kind of a next scene, she admits to Leon that she is pregnant. Now, this is a couple months after that. And he basically is he takes her to go get advice from Pin. Even at 17, he still thinks Pin is real and, wants to be his friend.
I just want to point out, when you say that he was angry when he found her in the backseat of the car, it would be one thing for a brother to be protective or weirded out or whatever, but he's I think he's literally frothing at the mouth. It takes multiple people to hold him back from trying to kill the guy, and he's just screaming and red-faced in front of a ton of people. He's already unhinged. He's already in love with his sister, and he can't take anybody else being close to her.
He's also kicking the guy in the dick.
Yeah.
When he pulls him out, the guy's covering his crotch and he's just kicking him repeatedly. That's not good.
No. Yeah, it's nasty. Also loved that there's a moment where he's kind of bullied because they're at a school dance when he finds his sister like that. And he's kind of bullied, and he goes and does this emo walk through the gym trying to find where his sister is. And right as he enters into the gym, the lyrics in the song that he's playing to are going, "I should have listened to my mother." And I thought that was
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's great.
Huh.
did. I should have listened to my mother. I should have kept my heart away.
That's great.
Yeah, so Leon and Ursula are now talking to Pin. Leon is speaking for Pin just as the doctor does, but Leon believes that Pin is actually speaking. Basically Pin is saying like, oh yeah, you should tell the doctor about what's happening. Like he believes in science and he can take the morality out of this and help you.
See, I thought Leon was just sort of being manipulative by using Pin as sort of like a shield. I didn't think that he was like, oh, we'll find out later.
Well, yeah. Well,
you know,
I mean, I would say yes up to a point, but Ursula leaves and he continues to talk to Pin, and Pin says like, I really like talking to you. I want to have more conversations.
That's true. That is
like,
true.
It was just him and the doll.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It went beyond just the sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so they do end up.
Maybe now's a good time to mention that Pin has a really weird voice. He does sound like salad fingers.
Yeah, and he is
really unsettling.
He is voiced by Jonathan Banks.
Hell yeah!
Who played the cop in Gremlins, and also Mike in Breaking Bad, which you probably know him more from.
And Mike from Better Call Saul.
Yep.
He's
That's
wonderful.
crazy.
What an incredible performer.
I would not have heard his voice and recognized it if I didn't look it up on IMDb. That's insane. This sounds nothing like him.
It is creepy.
I want to see him doing the Pin voice. I would love that.
Yeah.
Do you think he actually does like modulate his voice like that, or do you think they put like a little like pitch shifter on it?
I don't know. I thought he just did it.
I hope so. It's creepy and weird.
I think I would assume there's some sort of modulation, but I don't really know what the technology was back then for audio.
Yeah, me neither. There was probably plenty. I mean, they were doing radio dramas in the 20s. Yeah.
But how cool would have Mike been if he had talked in the Pin voice the whole time in Breaking Bad?
Every time he's going to do a hit or something like that, he just like recites a Bible verse in that voice. I would love that.
But yeah, Salad Fingers is a great comparison because it's like a creepy but sweet voice.
And every time you hear that voice, they don't do anything to make the doll seem like it's talking. The camera, it's like center frame, the camera moves in and it's just the doll's face and his unblinking eyes, and his mouth never moves, but it is creepy. And like after a while of seeing that voice and that doll's face, like there are moments later in the movie where you always knew it was the guy talking through the doll, but it kind of, you can get lost in the fantasy that the doll is communicating the way it's shot. Yeah.
So yeah, the Ursula ends up telling the doctor, who then gives Ursula an abortion.
Oh, no, that was a chilling. But he was like, "Are you comfortable? This is not an experience you want to feel a second time." And then the camera just cuts away from the dad giving an abortion to his daughter.
And the dad tells Leon, like, you know, don't tell your mother about this. If she asks, like, Ursula just is having like menstruation problems.
Yeah.
You know, like, lie to your mother about this.
Well,
it's interesting.
Also asks Leon if he would like to observe.
Okay.
And he was like, no. And he was like, well, it might be educational. And then he was like, nah, I'm good. Then he like leaves the room.
That line made me wonder if the dad thought this was an incest baby between the two kids. Because the rest of that entire sequence, the way it plays out, it feels like the dad is blaming the son without straight up blaming the son.
Dude, that's a good observation. I didn't even pick up on that. There's a book that this is based off of. The author's Andrew Neiderman. So he also wrote Devil's Advocate. And apparently in the book, it leans really heavily into the incest themes. And at one point later on, after something happens to the parents, both the kids sleep together with Pin in the book, which is not covered in the movie. So that would totally track based on the book, you know.
Well, those are the vibes I got. And just like the dad's character, the way he can't have it like a direct conversation with these kids, like he will not accuse the son of getting his sister pregnant, but he will do everything in his power to make the son feel misery as a result of it. Like, and hence the like, do you want to watch? Like
Yeah.
this is
That makes sense.
I want to. What is that book called? That sounds terrible. Where can I find it? That awful.
Yeah,
Just disgusting.
yeah,
Is that? Can I download a PDF?
Yeah,
Is it illustrated, Eric?
It's not illustrated. It's on Amazon for $16.
Nice.
So you can get it. Also, it's mentioned in Paperbacks from Hell by Grady Hendrix,
Oh, nice.
which is like a sort of the Bible of old retro horror novels. So
Nice.
Pin's mentioned in that particular book too. So
Huh.
yeah, you can get it for $16. The DVD, on the other hand, $73 for the
God
US
damn.
version.
Holy cow.
Not on Blu-ray. So
Yeah. I think you can watch it on YouTube.
oh, nice.
I think.
Hey, if you want a copy of this movie, not to spend $70 on it, I don't know, leave us 5 stars, and in the review, ask Greg to send you a copy of the movie. we cannot promise to do it, but we promise we'll do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll go to jail. It's fine. So, as Ursula is recovering from her abortion, we get a montage of Leon spending time with Pin as love music plays over top.
Love
Interesting.
music.
Yeah, it's like sweet
Yeah.
love music.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, just because you've never felt love and you don't know what love music sounds or feels like.
I just love the genre of love music. I think it's great. I love love.
This
so
is
now the
yeah, sorry.
no, go on. You good.
Just tell me if I'm talking too much, but this is the scene that it started clicking with me. I think I texted you guys at this point, where early on in the movie, the dad is using Pin as a vehicle to communicate meaning to his kids, and the kid, Leon specifically, takes it too seriously, too literally, and too far. And then taking that idea too far kind of starts to drive him even more mad than he already was. So it stops being a crutch and it starts to harm him. And it gave me a lot of vibes of like how young people get radicalized into religion, where like the parents start by thinking, oh, it's a tool to teach morality. It'll do this, it'll do that. They use it as a way to communicate truth or whatever. And then the kids, something gets disconnected or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like in the movie, he starts communicating with Pin and Pin starts talking back, but it's his voice, which made me think about like in a vacuum, when you call out and there is no God, eventually you hear your own echoes and you start following your own impulses, only now you think it's coming from a deity of some kind. So anything kind of becomes permissible. And I thought in this, so just allegorically speaking, it seemed like there was some like religious undertones on top of all the psychosexual stuff we've been talking about. But in this sequence here, I thought it was kind of cool because it shows that Pin actually does improve Leon's life. Like it shows him like struggling to study or whatever. And then we see in the montage that when he studies with Pin with him, he can suddenly focus and he feels a lot of happiness and energy and joy. And I thought that was interesting. It's a neat story. I like the way it's told here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that interpretation, Dan. It's like his consciousness or like offers him like a different perspective.
Yeah.
And he's like finding this like solace in him and like this guidance that he's not getting from his parents or friends. He's got no friend.
Yeah, there's a point where the dad is like trying to berate him into filling out college applications, and he's just refusing to do it because he doesn't want to leave town. But then they show a shot of him talking to Pin, and Pin is not channeling what the son wants. He's channeling what his dad wants through Pin. Right? So Pin is telling him you should apply. Other schools have more opportunities. But then later in the movie, when the dad's no longer in the picture, that shifts and it becomes about what he wants. And then suddenly what Pin wants gets way nastier and like way more intense. It's really cool. There's a lot going on. I liked it a lot.
I thought this movie was just about a sex doll.
It could be. I could totally be reading too much into it, but I think it works on an allegorical level. I think it's pretty neat.
I like that a lot. That's pretty awesome. It's this movie's weird.
Yeah.
Right. So being able to get something more from it, and I think that's what the movie's trying to do. It is trying to tell some sort of morality tale kind of thing. But I watch things at a surface level. My brain don't work good.
That's fine.
So that's why you're on the show.
Well, we all see it for different reasons. I mean, Eric's here for the boobs. Like we're all here for different things.
Yeah,
also, we did see boobs in the porno magazine earlier.
Hell
so
yeah.
That works for me.
Instant star.
There's boobs later on too in the movie.
Oh yeah, there's boobs later.
Yeah, Marcia comes back.
All right. 12 stabs out of 2. What? All right. Moving on. We're about halfway through the movie here. The parents are heading off to a speech. Leon goes to the office, the doctor's office, to get advice from Pin. The doctor realizes that he needs to go back to the office to get papers that he forgot, and he catches Leon talking with Pin. And the doctor's not really happy with that. He seems very uncomfortable with it. So he decides to...
Oh, I'm sorry. There's just a scene when they're in the car and he realizes he forgot his things. He has this line that's like, I think he's like, oh, the medical histories. And his wife says something like, well, do you really need them? And he like sighs and he goes, I can't give this speech if I don't have the case histories with me. And just something about the way he delivered that line made me bust out laughing. I loved it so much. That was such a great little concise scene. You got a lot of character motivation, a lot of reason, just all wrapped up in 2 lines. It was awesome.
Yeah. And at this point, the doctor now decides to take Pin with him to the speech, and he tells his wife that he's going to leave Pin there at the conference so like they can use it as like an educational tool.
I just want to mention too, he also tells the son to like sneak out so his mother doesn't see him. So he's hiding this relationship with Pin at just same thing as he hid the pregnancy from the wife. So she's kind of in the dark.
And I mean, I guess that speaks to like her personality, that like clean freak, where like if something is bad or wrong, this family just hides it from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not allowed to like get into the dirty little secrets of the family.
Right. Yeah. Nice.
Very puritanical. Even the dad is scared of her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But however, on the way to the speech, the doctor gets very angry and he starts driving too fast, and they end up crashing, killing the doctor and his wife.
Well, they crashed because the pin that he'd thrown in the back seat like sat up, like he hit a bump and it like pivoted into the sitting position, and he was so distracted by looking in the rear view mirror and seeing that creepy, awful face staring back at him that he hits like a ramp, dies in the most radical way.
I mean, I think that's like it's exponentially worse, like him seeing Pin back there after seeing the interaction that his son just had with Pin.
Oh, totally.
Like talking to it like a human being.
I mean, it's like, it's a visual story or a visual medium. And so rather than hearing like a voiceover of him talking to himself about how disturbed he is about his son, like to be disturbed by the object that's kind of the center of that conflict is like spot on. Like he was literally distracted by his son and this weird behavior, and that's what killed him.
Do you think... Now, I just thought of this. Do you think he's disturbed by what his son did, or is he disturbed at how he basically raised his son to be this way?
All of the above. Little column A, little column B.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. I also wondered if his dad had something going on.
He was banging the dog.
Schizophrenia or something that's like can be passed down from generation to generation. If maybe he had a little bit of it.
Well, yeah, you know what? So earlier in the movie, the first time we see Leon and Ursula talking to Pin, he tells them to leave the office and like go out to the waiting room.
Dude, you're right.
And the doctor is
still talking
to Pin. Yeah,
you're right. He is still talking to him.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either. I just assumed he was like using it as his internal thoughts externally, but if we're connecting the schizophrenia thing to it, then that could play in. Yeah, totally.
Huh. See, look at that, Greg. You do it too.
Oh, I'm a guy. Yeah, but I do it just while talking.
We're 3 good movie boys.
Oh, yay. You can't see this, but I was clapping to myself. Like, oh, I did a good boy thing.
Yeah. Tell me your happiness.
Oh, man. All right, so yeah, at the accident scene, Leon makes sure to grab Pin from the wreckage and take him out, because Pin didn't die, because Pin is forever.
Is forever dummy.
Yeah.
I'll be your guy's forever dummy. I'll be there.
Yeah. When we stuff you when you die, you'll become our forever boy.
Yeah, I want to be the first to die, so that you guys can stuff me. And then stuff me.
Ew. Yeah.
All right, done. It's a plan. It's a date.
So after the funeral, we learn that their Aunt Dorothy, who I believe is their mother's sister, she'll be staying with the kids at the home to take care of them. Leon's not very happy about it. After Aunt Dorothy leaves to get her stuff settled, she lives in the city. Before she moves in, Leon kind of has an act of rebellion against his parents. He removes all the plastic from the furniture, and he and Ursula eat without cleaning up until Ursula kind of requests to clean up. She's just like, can we just kind of clean up before we go to bed? She doesn't want to break away from that. But Leon just has this like this just moment of, hey, our parents aren't here anymore. We don't have to live under them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like rebelling.
He's his own man for the first time. No rules.
Yep.
They do whatever they want.
So, and he keeps going with that. So that night, Ursula catches Leon talking with Pin, even though Pin shouldn't be allowed in the house. And not only that, he dressed Pin in a suit, which he isn't allowed to wear.
In his father's suit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And Ursula is very against it. Pin.
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why that would be weird to find your brother talking to a dummy dressed like your dad. That seems perfectly natural to me. I think she needs therapy. Ursula needs therapy.
Probably.
Yeah.
But Leon says that Pin is family more so than Aunt Dorothy, according to Leon.
Damn Aunt Dorothy.
She's got to go.
But Leon says that he'll take care of Ursula. We don't need Aunt Dorothy. I can take care of you.
Oh, I did want to mention, Greg, that Aunt Dorothy, at first they're like, you don't have to come over here. We're good. And she specifically says it would be good for my heart to move out here. So I guess she's got a weak ticker.
Nice.
So. Well, they mentioned that a little bit later. As well. Yeah. So Aunt Dorothy moves in. She wants to put the plastic back on the furniture, and Leon can kind of see his life slipping back to how his parents made it, because Dorothy's basically like his mom.
Yeah.
At dinner, Ursula tells them that she got a job at the library, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was excited. I was happy for
her.
Back before the internet, that place was popping off. What were those things? Books. Oh, this movie was a book. Yeah.
Yeah, the card catalog.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Free public access restrooms. Man, libraries are great. You can learn and shit in the same place.
You can do that at the same time.
That's truly the bathroom of public services.
Lovely. So that night, Leon brings Dorothy some chocolate milk that we kind of intuitively learn is spiked. With drugs to put her to sleep.
He brought her there was like a vanilla one and a chocolate one, and she reached out for the vanilla one. He's like, no, the chocolate one's for you.
No. Ladies get the chocolate.
And he looks right in the camera and winks.
Leon then proceeds to terrify Aunt Dorothy in the middle of the night with Pin. He had Pin laying in her bed, very much like a horse head.
I was laughing at this scene. I thought it was hilarious at first.
Yeah. It is very funny up to the point that she has a heart attack and dies.
All right.
Also still very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Before the heart attack, it was a little more funny.
It's as funny as a heart attack. Isn't that the saying?
That's right. There's some really cool music in that scene, and there's also a good after she has a heart attack, Pin's just laying in the bed, and you don't see Leon, but Leon just slowly is and stands up behind the bed and behind Pin, and he's reveals himself with this little sinister smile. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's very psycho. It's a super psycho movement. He's looking down and smiling. He's underlit. Yeah, it's cool. I thought when the aunt woke up to the sound of Pin's voice being, I guess, because he's a ventriloquist, so he can throw his voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to wake up to the sound of that voice tickling her ear, that kind of gave me chills. That, like I said, that voice is nasty.
That's how I want to die. I think I figured it out now.
You want to be startled by a dummy and a sweet voice?
Just in the middle of the night, just a dummy going "Hey, Greg.
I'm here with you, Greg.
Jonathan Banks whispering in your ear.
Yeah.
She's fade off.
I don't know if you can die with an erection, but I'd like to give it a try.
He just knocks you out and you wake up in a Mexican desert. That's the Jonathan Banks way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Pin has a donger, too, so that could have been extra scary, too.
She just sees that huge dong coming at her.
Yeah, why did they have to put a napkin over it? Couldn't they just put them in some shorts?
Well, because it's a mannequin, right? So it's plastic.
Yeah.
It's got to either be hard or it's got to be soft, and we know
Which is it?
They decided to go with hard, or the nurse wouldn't.
That's true.
Yeah, so that would be weird.
Yeah, I think it's weirder that it's hard. Now that you mention it like this, it's weird that he had a full-sized hard dick.
You know what? I think you're right. I think that is weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm assuming it's articulated, like you can move.
You can bend it around.
Yeah, you bend it. You just tuck it in your in your underwear.
I guess outside of weird sex dolls, it shouldn't have a hard wiener.
Yeah, or maybe you could pull on it and it detaches, and then you could slot in a soft one, so you could swap. You could do a dick swap and show the difference.
Penis.
See, that's a good punk band name.
Yeah, it's a song.
It's a song.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think the first time I heard that song was on Beavis and Butthead.
We'll cut it in. We'll cut in some detachable penis.
I woke up this morning with a bad hangover, and my penis was missing again. This happens all the time. It's detachable. This comes in handy a lot of the time. I can leave it home when I think it's going to get me in trouble, or I can rent it out when I don't need it. But now and then I go to a party, get drunk, and the next morning I can't, for the life of me, remember what I did with it.
All right, yeah. So now that Dorothy's dead at the shock of an erect mannequin coming at her, Leon moves Pin. He had put Pin up in the attic while Dorothy was there, so he moves Pin out of the attic and back to Pin's own bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So later when Ursula comes home, Leon is very excited, and he shows her that Pin is now fully suited up with a human mask and hair.
Oh God.
Ooh, man, I love this scene.
And it's very off-putting, and Ursula hates it.
Very off-putting. 9/11 was kind of a bummer.
I don't know how to describe it otherwise. It's
like a latex skin mask over the musculature, but it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's
we'll
like
put a picture on Instagram.
It's like someone wearing someone else's skin, like a skin suit.
Yeah. It looks like Dwight from that episode of The Office when he cuts off the training dummy's face and slaps it on his.
Oh yeah.
Or like Leatherface, but not as saggy and stitched up. Yeah.
Very Uncanny Valley. And there's holes cut out for the eyes and a hole cut around this dummy's big pouty lips.
I guess it's like if you took a Michael Myers mask and painted its skin color. I mean, I guess that would just be a Shatner mask at that point, but it's kind of, it's loose enough that you could not, it's not painted on. Yeah, it's off-putting.
And he has little blonde curly hair, like a mini, not an afro, it's just mini curly hair.
Well, he's dressed up to look like his dad. He's rebuilding his dad in the form of this dummy.
Yeah.
That's what we all do.
We should mention that the dad was Terry O'Quinn, right?
Yeah, made famous by The Stepfather, and also maybe Lost.
Oh,
where
also
he played
Lost.
John Locke.
Yeah, absolutely Lost. Yeah.
He also played a bomb squad guy in the first X-Files movie.
Excellent.
At the very beginning. But yeah, so Ursula hates Pin in his new outfit and new makeup. And Leon is furious that she doesn't like it. And, we see that he chooses Pin over her.
It would have been better if Pin was dressed like Divine. They came in and it was just whoa! It was really over the top. Really
sloppy makeup. Leon's just I've never seen a woman before, and I've never seen a man. I've seen Dad, and this is what I think Dad looks like.
Just looks like Tiny Tim from the Blood Harvest movie. I want that.
Yeah.
Big flowery overalls, giant shoes.
I want my dad to be Tiny Tim from Blood Harvest.
Me too.
Marvelous Mervo.
Why? I know we already reviewed that movie, but can we watch it again?
Let's watch it again.
We should.
All right.
Okay. Every month, we should watch it.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we'll call it first Blood Harvest Friday every month. All right.
I like
so
that.
next
That's
day,
10 out of 10. I like that one.
Yeah.
That tickled me.
So later at the library, Ursula meets Stan, who will eventually become her boyfriend.
Very big, sweet muscle man.
Yeah,
He's a nice guy.
I like him.
Yeah, nice guy.
Me too.
Nice boy, Stan. Leon isn't happy that Ursula comes home from her date with Stan at midnight, even though that's not too late, even though she is 15 still, I think.
No, I think she's graduated by now. I think at this point they're all adults.
Well, she says that she can work part-time at the library until school's over.
Well, let's just say she's 18.
Okay.
I have the script right here. It says she's 18 before every line of dialogue she speaks.
All right. If that makes you feel better.
It does. Somehow it does.
So after that, next day, Leon, who now sees that his sister has a boyfriend, he sets up a date with a girl who's Marcia, that we mentioned earlier, who he called an ugly cow, I believe, because he wants to set up a date because he feels a need. So Pin questions him about it, but Leon does it anyway. They go to a movie, and we see Ursula and Stan together as well. She gives him a watch that she comments beeps on the hour every hour.
Beep, beep.
So that'll be important later.
Foreshadowing.
Pin also questions the need in general with Leon. He's like, are you sure this isn't just like resentful behavior because your sister has the need? Like, he's basically like, do you really have the need? Which I think is interesting.
Yeah, that's great.
Because I don't think it's ever there for Leon.
It's kind of like, I almost read it. I read it like Leon realizes he can't control his sister without resorting to violence. So if she's going to go out and do this thing, he needs to prove that he can go out and do it too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we'll say one works out, the other doesn't.
Yeah. I think Leon is probably like asexual or something too. Like, it doesn't seem like he gives a shit either way.
I think he just wants to bang Pin.
Well, we do see that. So back with Leon, Marcia, she kind of just wants to get down. And I like that she's just like, what? Like, just take your clothes off. She's taking her bra off. Yeah, we get some nudity here. And she's just like, listen, everyone made fun of me for even coming here. Let's just do this. But the whole time, Leon's just like, my friend Pin might come in. He lives here, and I can't really stop him. And so that was weird. He just keeps thinking about Pin. So Marcia she's just getting ready to leave because she's done with it. And as she's trying to get out the door, Pin goes after her in an electric wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. Again, that music kicks in. It's really intense. The music does a lot of work, and I did not mind at all. I thought the soundtrack was so much fun.
Yeah, he's like, hello, Marcia, and he's laughing the entire time. So, like, Leon knows that Pin is menacing. Like, he knows he's using him as like an instrument to like upset people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed his aunt with her.
Yeah.
This thing is a hammer for all the nails.
But thankfully,
I just wanted to point out in the dueling dates scenes where you see Ursula on a date and they're having like the cutest date ever. And it keeps cutting back and forth between the two of them. Leon's having the worst date ever. There's a moment where they're at a Chinese restaurant and they're eating food really slowly and she's distracted. And then they realize that they're 5 minutes late to get to the movie, so they have to leave quickly. And then it cuts to them settling into their theater seats and eating Chinese like takeout, like out of Chinese boxes. And there's a moment where she like looks at the Chinese food in her lap and looks at him and she has this big smile on her face. And it's like this, she realizes like he's spontaneous, he's free, things like we can do whatever we want. Like it was such a nice character moment. Like it was a moment where she realized there's a different way to live. There's people out there that don't behave strangely, and I really liked that. I thought that her relationship with Stan was really great to watch, and of course it'll go perfectly from here on out.
Yeah.
I love that moment.
I will say, fellas, if you sneak, leftover Chinese food into a movie theater date with me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm yours forever.
Greg puts out for pot stickers. Yeah. Noted.
That's my bumper sticker. Puts out for pot stickers. I love Chinese.
So now we know how Greg needs to feel the need. We got it. Full circle.
The foreplay to the need.
Yeah.
Pot stickers in a movie theater. We'll see Chippendale Rescue Rangers and eat this ramen.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, Leon was chasing Marcia and coming after her with Pin, but luckily Ursula comes home just in time to save her. So next morning, Leon says he wants Ursula to invite Stan over for dinner.
This is going to go well.
Yeah, that night Stan gets there, brought some chocolate for Ursula, which Leon takes the chocolates and says, "Ooh, hey, Pin loves chocolate." And I love that. So he gives Pin the chocolates and he introduces Stan to Pin. Stan is creeped out, but he does his best to be like nice to his girlfriend's brother. And we've all been there, I'll tell you that. Not really.
I think there's a sweet moment where I think it was Leon says to Stan, like, "Oh, so or Ursula told you about Pin," and Stan, because I don't remember anybody else delivering this kind of backstory, but Stan says something like, "Oh yeah, Pin. Your dad said he's like Pinocchio. He's a real boy, and he never tells a lie because his nose doesn't grow."
Yeah,
I like that. That sounds exactly like a story a parent would tell a kid if they were trying to pull something like this. It was nice,
and that came from Stan, so it would have come from Ursula,
right?
Which means I don't think Leon was ever told that story.
No, I thought Leon
Dr.
knew that
Linden,
story, and he was weirded out to hear like an intimate family story coming from a stranger. Like it seemed like it was like a moment of like violation to him.
See, I thought it felt to me like, so Ursula knows Pin is fake, no problem with that.
Yeah.
So like he told her like, hey, he's a dummy, but like, hey, he's a magic dummy. Whereas Leon probably was raised to like believe that Pin was real,
or he needed to believe it. Like what's going on? Like I said before, with the relationship between he probably has a paternal relationship to this doll, and that's why like he had no problems with their parents dying, but Pin he's obsessed with, and he suits him up in his dad's suit, is making him look like his dad. Because like it kind of goes back to that religious allegory where Leon has no other fathers, so he has to build a different kind of father so that he can be told what to do, which is like kind of the basis for like culty religious thinking. Yeah, at least that's the way I was reading it. I'm not saying you're wrong. That's just how I was reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a note. Like it's really looked like Leon seemed disappointed that Stan, what's his name, Stan?
Yeah.
That Stan was being nice to Pin. Like he offered him the chocolate. He asked him if he was told the Pinocchio story. And the whole time, Leon just had like this pissy, shitty face on. Like I think he wanted him to not get along so he could immediately hate him or something. I think there was something going on there.
He wanted to use like Pin to drive a wedge between Ursula and Stan, but Stan wasn't letting it happen.
But then Stan was being cool, and he was like, fuck. Why is he's being cool? And he was definitely seemed disappointed at first.
Yeah, yeah. What were you going to say, Greg?
No, yeah, that's exactly it. Like, if Stan was uncomfortable with Pin or, was just being shitty, Leon controls or wants to control Ursula. So that would have been a reason to, like, force her to push Stan away. But he didn't have that because Stan's a good dude.
Yeah.
Stan's the best dude.
He is a good dude.
And nothing will happen to him.
Nothing.
I would have liked a scene where he had to feed Pin the chocolate. Like, go ahead, just give him a piece.
Yeah. He likes it. He likes it when you mama bird it.
Yeah. Smeared all over his face.
Ursula walks in the room and Stan's just straddling him, like deep throating chocolate in his dummy's mouth. That would happen in this movie.
Yeah, I would have loved it. So after dinner, Leon reads some poetry. Like he wants to be his vocation is a poet. So he reads some poetry to Ursula and Stan. It's beautiful poetry. It's all about rape and sex, and it includes sex with the character's sister.
Closer she came to him, moving. It seemed in silent motion. His heart beat steadily within the caverns of his bosom, driving hot blood thick down into the depths of his loins. He lunged from the deepest, darkest passions in us all. She turned without a sound and faced him. He stopped abruptly. It was as if a knife had performed an instant castration. He was looking into the eyes of his sister.
And Stan, he's already dealt with the pin situation. He's very concerned for Ursula now. And he's basically like, your brother's... something's wrong with your brother. Like, he's talking about having sex with his sister. Like, this is weird. And Leon overhears the conversation. Ursula tells Stan that Leon, like, she's like, oh, I read all the psychology books in a library. Leon is a paranoid schizophrenic. But she doesn't want him put away. Like, she cares about Leon.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
So,
that made a lot of Ursula's motivations become a lot clearer to me. I like that moment. That was good.
Yeah, there's a moment where Leon had put Pin like back up in his room and was like basically like, Stan's cool. He liked my poetry, and he was excited. Like, and I like he almost was like, all right, yeah, he's fine. I'll accept him. And then he walks down the stairs and hears the he needs psychiatric help conversation coming from Stan. So,
yeah, well,
it's like his they finally broke through, and then his trust was broken.
Well, it's interesting there because Leon is saying like, oh, like you said, like Stan's all right, but Pin says pretty much like, you have to stop Stan from taking Ursula away.
Yeah.
Like Pin is telling him to do something that Leon doesn't want to do.
That's true.
So now Leon like tries to make Ursula choose between him and Stan, which is kind of interesting.
You talking about that passive aggressive conversation they had when he was chopping wood? Or we're getting there now. Yeah, but, sorry. Yeah.
No, I skipped all that. That's fine. So when he's chopping wood, he basically is like, I don't like Stan. I don't think he's a good guy. You shouldn't be seeing him. And then he changes his tune when like Ursula doesn't react the way he wants her to.
Yeah.
So he's just like, I'm just kidding. He's fine.
I love that moment, that whole scene, because you also see him manhandling that axe. And he's a strong dude. Like, he was splitting wood like a motherfucker. He's like disintegrating wood with that axe. So it was intimidating to watch. It felt like they were establishing something with that axe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, one like interesting part there is that like Leon sees himself as the controller of Ursula until Ursula doesn't go along with it.
Yeah. For real.
She's just like, I don't care what you think. Like, I like him. I think he's good. And then, Leon kind of backs down.
It's like it's a problem that he can't use violence or intimidation to stop at that point. She stands up to him and he's just like, I can't kill her. He cares too much about her. Yeah.
What a movie.
It's a good movie. We're not reviewing it yet, but man, I like this movie a lot. I'm really glad we watched it.
We're getting to the end though. So Leon invites Stan over to the house alone to quote unquote plan a birthday party or like a surprise party for Ursula. While he's there, he ends up drugging Stan the same way he drugged Ursula earlier, and he ends up beating Stan's head in and hiding the body in the wood pile because Ursula's coming home. Pin told him like throw him in the river or whatever, but he doesn't have a lot of time, so he hides him in the wood pile.
I love that scene when he's panicked. He has to figure out how to cover up for what he did, and that conversation between him and Pin was great. My only quibble with this is that he put a body inside of one of those like suit jacket bags.
A garment bag, yeah.
I'm sorry, those garment bags barely contain a suit. There's no way you're putting 220 pound Stan in that thing and it's going to stay zipped shut. Yeah. No chance in hell.
My pants are always crumpled up on the bottom of that garment bag, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. I felt the exact same way.
I've had enough rental suits in my life to know that those things don't do shit.
This is the one unrealistic thing in this movie. So Leon does his best to clean up the blood on the carpet before Ursula gets home. Ursula's worried because she hasn't heard from Stan, but Leon keeps trying to like keep her focus on him, and he says something about like, oh, Stan had to go help somebody out of town. Like he told me, he didn't tell you. That's not weird at all.
Yeah. Well, he calls, I'm sorry if you said it before, but he calls Stan and says like, come over and plan a surprise party. So Stan left her in the dark. Yeah. And Ursula's not, I think they were supposed to have a date that night, right? And he was a no-show.
I think they were going to do dinner or something.
Yeah. So she's worried, and Stan makes up, or Leon makes up this whole story about he had a friend that was sick and he tried to get in touch with you, but maybe you called it at work, or maybe you missed his call at your apartment. And it's clearly cagey. Also, Leon's a terrible liar, and he's just like quivering and shaking in this whole scene. And it's a hell of a goddamn performance. He knocked it out of the park.
He's
the
great.
guy that's playing Leon, really
he's
outstanding.
Like biting his index finger, like chewing on his nails.
Yeah, like quivering all over. He's like visibly sweating.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, as Ursula's in the living room, she hears Stan's watch beeping, and she finds the watch and angrily questions Leon about what he did. Leon basically blames Pin, saying Pin did it. Like he came home and Pin had already killed Stan. It's not Leon's fault. Ursula runs off while Leon just kind of talks to Pin. Now, what I really like here is like Pin says like, "Oh, I've never lied, and I won't lie for you." You know, because Leon's like, "Tell her that you did it," and Pin's like, "Washing my hands of this thing.
Yep.
That's all you."
Yep.
And I think he says like, I think he tells Leon that like, "Hey, you're a bad liar. You're not good at lying."
Yep.
Yes,
he does. Yeah. He
really,
tells him,
really
he's
interesting.
like, we did it for you. This is why we did it.
Yeah. I mean, because Leon pushes everything off to somebody else. He's doing everything for everybody else, but it's all selfish.
Yep.
Like Stan is just selfish.
Yeah, he's like a really pious person that's like secretly the piety is needy and selfish. Yeah.
He's playing the martyr. Like,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
But yeah, as Leon is talking to Pin, suddenly Ursula comes into the room with an axe. It cuts to slow motion as Leon shields himself from it. But then we cut to the police at the house with Ursula in the back of the cop car, and they end up finding Stan in the woodpile, but Stan is still alive.
Wow.
Yeah, shocker.
Now, we don't know what happened in the house yet. So then we jump to an unknown amount of time. Stan and Ursula pull up to the house, and we learn that they're married now.
Nice.
Because she goes into the house alone, and there's some woman there that we don't know who she is. But she kind of like, she refers to Ursula as Mrs. whatever Stan's last name is. So that's how we kind of learn of at least enough.
Yeah.
Freaker. Yeah. It's a good name.
Yeah.
So she goes into a room and she speaks to Pin, who is sitting at the window. But Ursula remains kind of in the door frame. Pin asks for the music box to be turned on. He also asks Ursula if she's heard from Leon. And she says that she hasn't, and she looks very sad. And they both agree that they really miss Leon. The camera then cuts to the front of Pin, and we see his face. It's Leon in pale makeup and this, like, the wig that Pin was wearing. And he's just staring out the window. And then we cut to credits.
Yeah. Yeah, Pin.
Yeah, baby.
Fucking love that shit.
There's a picture of Leon framed on that dresser, too.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Like in his memory, just kind of good.
Awesome.
What a good ending. Anybody see the ending coming? You guys guess it?
Not really, no.
Well, I remembered at the beginning of the movie, we see the kids like trying to interact with the guy through the window. And I remember about halfway through that, that must be Leon in the future who was sitting in that chair. So I figured he would end up there somehow. But what a reveal. I really love that moment.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now the neighborhood kid just bugged the shit out of him as he stares out the window.
All right, well, what do you guys say we take an axe from the woodpile and stab this movie with it?
Let's do it.
It's unorthodox for an axe, but I think we'll manage.
Yeah, you gotta just be real, like very surgical with it.
Yeah, just like the corner.
Let's detach this movie's plot penis.
Time for the ratings.
Right, so here on Stabby Stabby, we rate our movies by stabbing it to death. So one being not very good film, one that you don't want to revisit, and 10 being something that blew your mind, cream your jeans. So who would like to give their stab rating for... What year was it? 1988 film.
I'll go first because I feel like I have less to say. So I can be pretty quick about it. I'm going to give Pin 8 stabs. This movie's super, super well done. Sandor Stern, we applaud you. Based on like his IMDb credits, this was like maybe one of very few, if not the only feature film he did. The rest were TV movies, and this movie had a little bit of a TV movie feel to it, just kind of how it looked, and I think that really added to the like tension and the pacing of it. But Leon and Ursula were fantastic at any age. They were just great. The actors amazing. The story was really good. You just kind of saw just watching a man go insane over the course of his first 20 years on Earth. Fantastic. I definitely highly recommend this movie. So yeah, 8 stabs from me. How about you, Baby Dan?
It's me, Baby Dan. I'm gonna stab this movie. I'm gonna stab this movie 9 times. 9 from me. I loved this movie. I enjoyed it from head to toe. I want its detachable penis to take home and examine because I'm sure there's themes there too. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. I'm not going to go too much into it because I feel like this whole review I've been talking too much. So I'm going to cut back and just say it was really fun and really great characters. It was really, really fun writing. Like as you could tell, writing that you could read into, and that it feels like there are layers there that are worth delving into. The performances were great. Like Greg was just saying, I actually really liked the direction. We didn't really talk about like set dressing or lighting, but I thought both of those were spot on. Like the creepy dark scenes were creepy and dark. All of the interior scenes were like washed in pastel blues and greens, and it did have a very like hospital vibe to a lot of it. Like a home never felt like a home, which I love it when a movie does that. Everything kind of feels like a little seeped in uncanny hell, and I loved that. So I really like the direction. I like the sets. The score was awesome. Maybe a little too much at times. It could get a little overwhelming, like it was trying to do too much work, but the movie goes so off the rails at moments that the score kind of fit that, and I really love that too. So yeah, head to toe, I really enjoy this movie. There's a lot going on in it. That's a 9 out of 10. I plan on watching it again very soon. Eric, Greg, thank you for introducing me to Pin. This is like a new favorite of mine. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Eric.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I also rated it a 9. Not too much to add, but definitely a gem. I did want to add that it's Canadian. So Sandor Stern is Canadian. He also wrote Amityville Horror. He wrote the screenplay for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, good psychological horror. Definitely fits that category. Leon, especially as the older Leon, the actor's name is David Hewlett. Fantastic. He really hits the mark. It's just, for me, it was a kind of movie, it just sticks with you. Like after I watched it, I found myself like revisiting it in my head and just thinking about it days after that I had watched it. So it definitely had an effect on me. I think it takes itself pretty seriously, and that could be dangerous. But in this case, I think it kind of works for the most part. Pin is fantastically unique and creepy, and it's just weird. It's a really good, weird movie. It needs a Blu release. I don't know if it's held up in some kind of legal rights or what, but I looked for a Blu-ray, unless it's on the foreign market maybe, but I couldn't even find that. But if like Scream Factory or Arrow or anybody, if somebody could get a hold of it, I would love to see a restoration. The DVD apparently has some commentary that I would like to dig into. And just like Bad Ronald, I'm kind of interested in the book now. I wouldn't mind picking it up and seeing reading those perverted extra scenes that we didn't get, because now I'm just curious. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. It was good stuff.
Awesome. And nobody in this entire conversation, nobody mentioned how much like Robert Pattinson that dude looked like.
Oh yeah,
the spitting image of Robert Pattinson, like full on Lighthouse, like unhinged Robert Pattinson performance. Oh, so good.
I love this haircut too.
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, should I cut my hair like him?
You could.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. It was slick.
He's a well-dressed man too. He's very meticulous in his dress, and
very dapper. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening this long. If you've listened all this way, thank you. You know what to do. You pull up whatever app you're using to listen to us right now and throw 5 stars our way. We really appreciate it. If you do that, it helps us out somehow, algorithmically. The robot overlords, our robot pins, will appreciate those stars. That helps us out. And like I always say, if you know other people that enjoy conversations like this about weirdo movies like this, tell them that they're going to be beautiful if they listen to this. This is the beauty product for them. Only lovely people like you listen to this, and we really appreciate it. Greg, how can people learn about the next movie we're watching so they can watch it for themselves before we spoil the whole goddamn thing?
Oh, I'm going to need these people to step into my doctor's office and sit in front of my completely anatomically correct mannequin doll. And I'm going to tell them about a wonderful app called Instagram that they can go on. Now, you're going to have to stare at this sex doll the whole time while I'm talking about this. But if you go on Instagram and you follow us at StabbyPod, StabbyPod, every Wednesday we'll announce the next movie that we're watching, so you can have about 5 days to find it and watch it. Some of them are easier to find than other ones. Sometimes you have to go to weird porno sites to download the movie.
Wait, what?
Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna. Yeah, what it is what it is. But yeah, so find them, watch them, because then every Monday the episode will come out, and we'll just spoil all of it. So yeah, go ahead and just watch it. Just watch it beforehand. But if you can't watch it, still listen. And just download it, play it, just plug your ears, but let it play. That helps you, it helps us, it's all good. So yeah, Instagram at StabbyPod.
Awesome. And Eric, what do we like to say at the end of every episode of Stabby Stabby?
We like to say, don't forget to sneak into your local doctor's office at night. Make sure all the lights are out, lock the door behind you, look for that anatomically correct doll, because it's going to be there.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got one in their doctor's office. It's going to you'll notice it because it has a towel over its crotch area. And if you're feeling a little randy, if the need comes on you, just make out with the doll. Just have a little one-on-one time and do some stabbing action with the doll, and don't forget to stab your friends. Oh boy, what is wrong with us?
I like that. I like that you didn't go through the entire movie. Just that one important scene.
It's the one that's still sticking with me the most.
Yeah.